one morning, woke up, and I knew. We took all the equipment off her. We cradled her in our arms, and we counted her last breaths as she left this earth and joined the next.
Imagine if you want to become a father, your partner gets pregnant and your dream comes true. A baby is on its way. And then your beautiful baby daughter is born, only to be found a few months after she's born that she has an incurable cancer. That is what my guest went through. Sadly, he lost his beautiful daughter Azaylia through childhood cancer, and it broke his and his family's heart, which I'm sure you can all understand. Please welcome to the show a very, very moving story from the incredible Ashley Cain.
To somebody that's going through anger or trauma or whatever, I can do it. I can handle situations. When I go into dangerous situations and I see dangerous things or I see injustice and I immerse myself in it and I understand it and I try and help out in those moments and I receive back what I always say, you always receive back. It makes me a greater student of the world and of life.
Ashley, thank you so much for coming to join us today on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
The first thing I need to say to you is you move me. And you move me with the journey you've been on and the pain you've suffered and how I live that experience with you as I learn about your story. For me, people go through trials and tribulations in life, and you're not the first person to lose a child. But the way that you handled yourself through that process after suffering the pain that you did really, really moved me. And then what you did after that is you really inspired me. So I just want to say thank you for that, because that meant a lot to me. For the benefit of everybody that hasn't had the great fortune that I've had of following your journey closely and understanding where you were and where you got to, can we just go back a little bit and just understand this beautiful story of this beautiful journey into fatherhood that you took?
First of all, I've got to say all praise and all thanks and all glory needs to go to the beautiful little girl of where it started, and that's Azaylia. You know, all my thanks go to that little girl. You know, I guess to paint a bit of a picture, I've achieved quite a lot in my life. But nothing I was ever really proud of. My life was always incomplete. Had a lot of adversity, had to overcome a lot of things. And maybe that made me into a person that I didn't want to be. I spent a lot of my life, you know, feeling ashamed, feeling disappointed, feeling guilty, feeling like I didn't know why I was here. And I was going to live the rest of my life not being able to find my potential or, in fact, a single purpose. Until, you know, the 10th of August 2020, when my beautiful little girl, Azaylia Diamond Cain, was born. Wow, man. In that moment, my life felt complete. Every fear, every worry, every concern I had about where my life was going or who I was solved. Because I had this little girl that gave me everything that I always wanted and then knew I needed. And the really sad, the really harsh, and the really painful reality of that situation is that 2 months into my fatherhood, I found out that my little girl got diagnosed with a very rare, a very aggressive form of AML leukemia. One that from the moment they seen it, they were telling us that she probably wasn't going to beat this illness. Now, this was during COVID, you know, people talk about their experiences of COVID and it was a tough time for a lot of people. My COVID was being given the best gift a human being can be given and then finding out 2 months in to that incredible time that she's got an illness that could potentially take her life. We were rushed into hospital that day, and for the next 6 months, I lived on a hospital floor by the side of my little girl as she fought what seemed to be an unbeatable illness. It was really strange because my reality of COVID was I used to look outside my hospital room at poorly child after poorly child after poorly child after poorly child. And then one week, one of those children wouldn't be there anymore. And I look back in my room at a little girl who was smiling at me, who didn't know how bad her illness was, and it used to break my heart. It killed me because I couldn't understand how she felt because she couldn't tell me. I couldn't truly understand what she needed because she couldn't vocalize it. So in that moment, I just thought, if I was the one that was in a hospital bed, what would I need around me? And I thought that is the most loving, the most caring, the most uplifting and positive energy from anybody that I see. So I decided that from that moment, when I walked over the line, she wasn't going to see her daddy cry, no matter how upset he was. She wasn't going to see him sad, no matter how much pain he was in. All she was going to see is him smile. All she was going to feel is his love. And for the amount of time that we had to be in the hospital, we were going to have the best time ever. And we fucking did. I thought I needed to be all of those things for her and give her all of those things. And it turned out she did all of those things for me in abundance. She did all of those things for the world in abundance. I used to remember, being scared every single second of every single day, not knowing whether that was going to be my last. My body was consumed by trauma. And I feel like now, thinking about it, I was already grieving in that moment while she was still alive. But all I remember is, and it's one thing, the only thing that I needed, I gave away my businesses, I gave away the money that was in there. I didn't have time to think or focus about anything. I couldn't even see my family. I couldn't leave the hospital room. I couldn't go to the shop. I couldn't get a haircut. I couldn't do anything. But I didn't need anything else. So I used to go to bed at night and wake up in the morning. I used to stare to my right and see a little girl that was still alive, that was smiling at me. And that's all I fucking needed. And I had a 6-month period of my life which I would give the remaining years of my life to go back and live again and live again and live again. You know, the saddest thing, Spence, about this journey is this little girl overcome every obstacle that they didn't think she was going to overcome. Rounds and rounds of harsh chemotherapy, stem cell transplant, to the point where we took her home because they said she was in remission. I thought we had our life back. And all we had to do was spend a couple of days at home, go back in so she could ring the bell. This nightmare for us, was going to be over. And then we went back in the hospital to ring the bell to resume a normal life, Spence. And everybody lined the corridor, the whole hospital lined the corridor. People talk about me being a celebrity. Fuck off. She was more of a celebrity and more famous and more powerful than I will ever be. People lined the corridor. And we walked into that room and the oncologist walked in with tears in her eyes. And she said, Azaylia's relapsed. And there's nothing we can do. She's not only got tumours in her lungs, on her spleen, in her kidneys. She's got tumours in her brain. She can't fly abroad to get any treatment. We can't give her radiotherapy, and there's no more chemotherapy that we know of that can do anything. You've got to take her home. And I didn't know what to do, Spence. Taking the most precious little thing that you've ever held, that you've ever witnessed, that you've ever had the pleasure to be in the presence of, home to die was something that I couldn't get my head around at the time. And we had to take her home. And they thought she would last, 1-2 days. It ended up being a matter of weeks. She was still fighting, Spence. And one morning, woke up and I knew. We took all the equipment off her. We cradled her in our arms and we counted her last breaths as she left this earth and joined the next. Do you know the fucking crazy thing about life is, Spence, yeah? All my life, before that, I wished and hoped to be successful or have money or have a nice car, Then I hoped and prayed and wished for a child. Then my hope became a hope that she can beat this illness. Then my hope became a hope she can beat this illness. Then it became a hope she makes it to the next day. Do you know what my fucking hope ended up, Spence? That when my daughter is going to die, I just hope that she's not in pain and it's peaceful in my arms. And that's all I could hope for. And I fucking, to this day, feel guilt, feel sadness, and feel pain, and feel shame that the biggest journey that we will ever make in our lives, my daughter had to make, and I wasn't at the other side to greet her. And it hurts me now. It hurts me. But what inspires me, Spence, is I was so lucky and blessed to have been chosen to be that little girl's father and be trusted by God to look after such a pure and beautiful and powerful little girl. I was blessed. I am blessed. She was the true definition of strength, Spence. The true meaning of courage. She showed me and taught me something that I would take into the remaining years of my life, and that's through your darkest times, you can create someone else's brightest moments. Because she not only did that for me, but she did that for people around the world. And I will live the remaining years of my life trying to be a little bit like her. And through my darkness, create hopefully a lot of people's brightest moments and inspire them to understand that no matter what you go through or what you face, there is light at the other end of the tunnel. But if you decide that you are willing enough, driven enough, resilient enough, brave enough and strong enough to pursue it, you will create it yourself. So that's a little bit about my little girl, Azaylia Diamond Cain, and the journey that we went on together. And I went on there for a bit, sorry, mate.
Thank you for sharing that. Give me one of your favourite memories of her.
I just remember we just used to dance every single day. I used to play Luther Vandross. And I used to hold her and we used to dance for hours and hours and hours and hours until my arms couldn't hold her anymore and I had to put her down for a bit. I used to dance with it because I wanted her to always be in my arms. I wanted her to be in the moment and the magic of love, of dance, of song. And I just hope that in those moments where we were dancing to the music and she was in my arms, that maybe she just wasn't feeling as much pain as if she was lying down on a bed by herself. Every time she used to go through chemotherapy, it could be a 4-hour chemotherapy, I used to pick her up and I used to dance with her. Any time that she came back from surgery, I used to pick her up and I used to dance with her. When I used to open the blinds in the morning, she used to look at me. I used to pick her up and dance with her. And I guess they're probably my favourite moments of my little girl. And I miss them because I didn't just used to dance with her, I used to kiss her face and kiss her lips and hug her and hold her little feet and smell her. And I really miss that. I really miss that, mate. But again, for me to be able to feel this strongly about something means I was so lucky, mate. Because I get to feel something that a lot of people on this earth never will be able to. And that means that I'm blessed. I live for her. I fight for her. And I'll die for her. Even now. In the hope that she's looking down. Because if there is a second of the day where she is looking at me, I want her to know how much I love her. And I hope that in the end, when it is my time, there's one thing for sure, Spence, I ain't fucking scared. The only thing that scares me is the fact that I hope I've done enough that when I get to them gates, the good Lord opens them up and she's at the other side. That's what I'm scared about now in my life. Nothing here scares me. Nah.
Oh, fucking hell. Thank you, Ash. Thank you for being so free to share that with me. I want to...
we went pretty deep pretty quick, right?
As I said, you moved me. I know your story. I know it well. I've been following you for some time. So it has way more meaning to me, you being here and giving me your time today than maybe you'd appreciate, because I have followed you for some time. And I have daughters, so I feel every inch of what you say. And I think as a father, specifically with daughters, I feel I have one main job, and that's to protect, as I'm sure you'll agree. And when the ability to protect is taken out of your hands and you can't be in control, I can only imagine how helpless that must have made you feel, knowing that you can't fix it, because that's what we do as dads, don't we? We fix the problem. And I've been lucky because I've been able to fix, but if I was in a situation where I couldn't fix like you were, I don't know what I'd have done. Why I admire incredibly is not only your grace as you've gone through this, but the fact that it has stood for something, and that it stands for something, to recognise that there are other mums and dads out there that are going through a similar journey to you. I have a very close friend going through something very similar at the moment. There's other mums and dads, but you decided that it had to mean something more and that you would go on and do stuff. So I want to go through this journey with you. And I want to remember Azaylia through every step of this. Because I think each one of these great projects that you got yourself involved with, these great challenges that you got involved with, have it's almost like she's not just a memory, she's the mascot. She's not just the mascot, okay? She's the silent cheerleader.
She's the reason.
But she's there every time. I have a friend of mine that climbed Mount Everest. And she climbed Mount Everest because she witnessed the suffering of children in Bangladesh. And the suffering was so painful for her to witness that she Googled how to raise money for charity. And this will become apparent as I just explained this to you. And when she Googled how to raise money for charity, the first thing that came up on Google was to summit Mount Everest. Now, this is a lady that has never climbed any mountain.
She didn't start small, did she?
No, she's never been in a gym. But for her, and this is what was very powerful for me, for her, it said, climb Mount Everest. She's witnessing these children suffering, and it said, climb Mount Everest. So for her, it was like, okay, so if it says it here, if I climb this mountain, then I can help these children. Whereas everybody else climbing Mount Everest, it's the biggest mountain in the world. It's 8,800 meters. You even go to base camp and it's terrifying to look up. But for her, it wasn't. For her, it was like, well, I've got these kids here that I need to help. So I better work out how to do it. And at no point did she go through the emotions that most adventurer would go through. It was so compelling that she was like, well, I better do it. And she became the first Portuguese lady to climb Mount Everest. Wow. She won a Guinness World Record.
Wow.
Now she has 10 Guinness World Records.
Wow.
Because she climbed K2, every other mountain. She Googled again how to raise money for charity, and it said on Google, go to the North Pole, ski single-handedly to the South Pole, do 2 Ironmans back to back, do seven marathons in 7 continents in 7 days. She read that, okay, I better do that. She couldn't even swim when she started to swim the English Channel. She couldn't swim. Not like she was a weak swimmer, she couldn't swim.
I love that.
And her name's Maria Conceição, and she's a great friend of mine. And whenever I meet people that have gone on to do the kind of things that Maria has done and you have done, I know that the why is so incredibly strong that the how just becomes a part of the journey. It's not overthought. Whereas most people, when they go into stuff, it's like, how am I going to do it? Because they don't have a strong enough why.
Yeah.
Maria obviously does, and you do. So I just want to go through some of these things that you've done to remember her. But also, I want everyone to really understand that this is for every child that has had cancer, has cancer, is suffering with a life-threatening illness that you decided that you would do something about. And I can only applaud that. So let's go through that journey.
I mean, it started off because, I had to plan my daughter's funeral. And in planning the funeral, I realised that I had to stand up and speak for her. To do that, I had to write a eulogy. And it's quite a feeling, writing your daughter's eulogy. How do you do that? Not only was she the most incredible and profound human being I've ever met, but I was broken into 1 trillion pieces. How could I put into words to quantify her greatness, to quantify even how I felt? But in being able to write that eulogy, in being able to deliver it on her day, it made my life so simple. My journey with my daughter was between 4 hospital walls. Now, I need to take her around the world with nothing but daddy power. For me, my journey with my daughter had only just begun. To the top of every mountain, to the bottom of every valley, along every road, across every ocean, I'm going to take you there. So, with that in mind, I thought I'd better get to work. And it also came from Spence, in that process of losing my daughter and writing a eulogy, man, I was drinking and I was drinking. Like, I was looking at the world and it was grayscale. I was numb. Like, everything was moving in slow motion. I couldn't gauge the world properly of how it was, and I was drinking, and I woke up one morning, Spence, just felt fucking ashamed. I thought, if my little girl's looking at me now, she's seeing her daddy like this, like, I'm embarrassed, I'm ashamed, I am guilty. I can't really handle the thought of that anymore. So I decided that I was going to go on some journeys, and I realised that in simply just loving my daughter and simply wanting to take her around the world, I could raise so much awareness and so much money for the illness that took her away from me. Because no child deserves to go through what Azaylia went through. No family deserves to lose a child. Now, before we start on what I've done, it's important to know that childhood cancer in the UK is the #1 killer of children. #1. Nothing kills anything more. Nothing kills any children. Nothing kills more than cancer to our children in the UK.
I didn't know that.
Yet it receives less than 3% of cancer research funding. Less than 3% of cancer research funding goes to children. That's why it's a systemic issue, because it is not profitable enough. Childhood cancer isn't rare. And I said that at the start because she had a rare form of childhood cancer. Childhood cancer isn't rare. Kills more of our kids than anything else. Less than 3% of cancer research funding goes to these kids, which means no treatments are being developed, no money's going into research, no new talent going into that space. So how the fuck are those odds going to change? How are they going to change?
Why only 3%? Why?
Because I guess in their eyes it's rare.
But if cancer kills more kids
than anything else,
is the biggest killer for children, and only 3% is going there, there's clearly some confused people.
Exactly.
Or people with a different agenda.
Yeah. So, with the Azaylia Foundation that we set up, we decided to partner with some of the leading institutions in the UK, because I understood that we may not have the biggest bank, but what we have is a network which we outpunch anybody with. So we decided to work collaboratively with places like Birmingham University, Birmingham Children's Hospital, Great Ormond Street, UCL, Oxford University, Oxford Paediatrics, and other incredible charities like Children with Cancer to really make a difference in this space. And a lot of that started from me doing incredible challenges and pushing myself to their limits, just because that's the only time I felt like I really connected with my little girl. Visceral connection, And me being able to push myself to extreme limits and do exceptional things and be in pain and be lonely and be fighting for my life if I'm out at sea, I just see that as a really beautiful moment, because in those moments, me and my daughter is a tangible thing. It's a visceral thing. She is with me. She is guiding me. She is lifting me. She is protecting me. And that's why I don't really fear things to the point that it would ever stop me now. I've done loads of challenges, but I guess the ones that I'll talk about loads of things. I ran 109 miles from where my daughter's resting place to Trafalgar Square, one day. I've done 125-mile kayak ultra down the Thames, 23 hours. I completed the Yukon 1000, which is a 1,000-mile kayak race from Canada to Alaska through the Arctic Circle. Dabbed as the world's toughest survival endurance race, 7 days. And I became the first and only man in the history of the world to run, cycle and kayak the entire length of Great Britain, 79 days. First man ever. They're just some of the things I've done. I also one day, Spence, found myself standing on a bridge about to jump off. Because I realised at the end of everything that I did, when I was maybe psychotically hoping that she was going to be there at the end, that she wasn't. And one of these days I was standing on a bridge, Spence, and I was going to jump, and I had this realisation that if I jumped, I was a fucking selfish bastard, because I'd be doing exactly the same thing or giving exactly the same feeling to my parents as what I feel at the minute. So then I decided that if you're going to jump, Ash, do it fucking properly. What's one thing you're scared about? Heights. And then the next week I got my parachute license and I've jumped 37 times out of a plane, and I can jump anywhere in the world. That's just kind of my mindset to things. And I can relate to what you're saying about this lady, because, you know, you could tell me that I've got to kayak independently from Canada to Alaska through the Arctic Circle. You could tell me that people have died on this race. You could tell me that there's no recovery, there's bears, there's wolves. But all I think about is I need to take her along the water and I need to get to the end. So I don't really think about what's in between. You know, kayaking, you know, the length of Great Britain in the sea, in the worst year the sea has been in summer for 15 years, where there is no other boat on the water for nearly 800 miles, because there's factor 6 winds, and day after day, you are close to losing your life because you're getting tossed in and you don't know a way that you're going to get out. I never even registered that happened the day before, because I just needed to get to the end. It was just part of the journey. And no part of the journey was as scary or remotely as scary as what I witnessed in that hospital room and the things I felt every single day. And it's just really profound in a sense where I just know I have to embark on these journeys, because that's the feeling that I got when I wrote her eulogy, when I spoke it. I understand now that when I battle and when I fight is the times when I feel the biggest connection with my daughter. I have evidence that after I have finished these incredibly tough things, that the pain I endured while I was doing it will always be worth it, because it soon shall pass. And there's a feeling at the other side of just worthiness to be able to stand on this earth. I get that when I sacrificed my Christmases for the last 4 years, and I've run marathons and I've cycled hundreds of miles, or I've done a 300-kilometre cycle in 9 hours on my Christmas day instead of spending it with my family, and I raise enough money to save a child's life, and I meet that child the next year with their family, how important the work is that I am doing. Like, when I tell you that my daughter blessed me, I cannot even quantify it or put it into words, because she's gave me a purpose and a reason to be here on this earth. She's also taught me that, you know, just because something's hard, it doesn't mean it's bad. Often it's profound, and what you feel at the other side of that pain is something that's unexplainable and unimaginable. She taught me that my life only had true importance and true value, and I only gained true strength when my life didn't become about me, it became about others. And in doing the things that I do for others, in making those sacrifices, and in making my life really, really simple, and never ever tried to get anything out of it, I've gained way more back in return than I've ever given. Something I'm not comfortable with, but it's a reality. And that's what I'd like a lot of people to know.
Okay, folks, let's talk about real estate. Now, a recent partnership that we've just established on the podcast is with AYS Developers. Luxury properties with high-end finishes from people that really understand the subject. Often in Dubai, you'll find stuff that is maybe substandard. With AYS Developers, you're not going to see that. You're going to see fantastic properties that you can buy, you can invest in, you can make a home on Dubai Islands and other places too. So go visit aysdevelopers.ae and check them out. I promise you it'll be worth the trip.
It's interesting you say that. It's that there's if I was in charge of the country or in charge of the world, there's a couple of rules that I would have.
Yeah.
And those rules that I would have.
You don't mind me putting this in on your pod, do you?
No. You go ahead and do it. There's those two rules that I would have. Rule number 1, okay, is that everybody should, by law, be made to do something in service of others once a month.
Yeah.
So that could be volunteering at your local dog shelter if you're into animals, or working in a soup kitchen, whatever it may be, in service to others. And a lot of people wonder why I would say that, but there's another thing that I think should be law, that everyone should be kind to somebody every day. And those two laws, I think, would change the world. And when I say kind, the security guard in the building as you go in, that you go into every day, stop in. If you're getting a coffee, grab him a coffee. Just give him a coffee, unannounced, and just have a chat with him, ask him how his family is, how he's doing, how he's keeping. Those 3 minutes of conversation with that man will leave that man happier and you happier for the rest of your day.
I was going to say, bro, forget that, man. My point being is, I have the same, I have the same reasoning to do what you're saying. But my point being is, when I say forget that, man, it's like people don't understand that by being kind to everybody, by committing to acts of kindness, what you receive back is truly phenomenal.
Well, it's the belief that you're giving, but actually you're getting so much more, aren't you?
Yeah.
And
so you never do it for that, but that's positive karma.
That's the reward. And so be kind to somebody and make somebody else feel better about themselves, genuinely and sincerely. And so when you met me today, you never met me before, you greeted me, you gave me a warm greeting. That made me feel good that you gave me a warm greeting. It's little things that we can do that we don't do. And I think a lot of wars in this world wouldn't exist. Okay. And I think, I talk about Jim Jeffries he's a comedian, but he tells the story about Americans with guns. And what he talks about is everyone should have muskets. And he says, everyone's angry, they've got a gun, they shoot each other. But with a musket, you got to load it, which gives you a chance to calm down. And if you calm down, then maybe you're not so bad after all, that type of thing. And so then for me, it's like, how can the world become a better place? If everyone once a month, so every the last day of the month, we'll all on a Sunday afternoon have to go and do something in service of others, I think we'd all feel a whole lot better. We win, and then be kind to others. So they're the two things I think are important in life. And I think that when you serve others, because the reward is so great, it will only make you want to do it even more. Then I believe we need to have a sense of purpose and a sense of mission. And if we've got a sense of purpose and a sense of mission in our lives, then we can go forward confidently and positively. And so many people don't. I look at the work that you do, and we'll come on to the TV stuff in a little while. And for me, I made a documentary about human trafficking. And on that documentary, I met 3 heroes, 3 ladies that had done such remarkable work around the world that couldn't be true. I went to a village where every child at the age of 8 years old becomes a prostitute in Nepal. Every child at the age of 8 years old gets a lip liner, an eyeliner, a mobile phone, and just for a packet of biscuits, just so they can eat. I met a girl who spent time, who had been trafficked into Amsterdam, into the red light district from Bulgaria. I worked with people that were refugees in Spain that had come across from Morocco. I've been through a whole journey of understanding this kind of stuff. And what I've found is that the why becomes so big and so powerful that there's nothing that can even remotely impact it in any way. And this is what I feel from learning about you, okay, as I have over the course of the last few years. It's like, I think I understand how the head works relating to this, and your head works. Because as you just described, I'm on the high seas, she's with me, okay? It's dangerous, she's with me. I'm on the Yukon, it's dangerous, but I'm just taking her with me. The thought isn't on the challenge in the same way.
So what's my strongest asset then? You know, when people always say to me that they want me to do a motivational talk, or they want me to go into a business or a corporate, or they want me to deliver something to inspire people, yeah? People want strength, they want courage, they want resilience, yeah? My fucking biggest quality is my heart, it's love. I don't do these things because I'm strong. I don't do these things because I'm courageous. I don't do these things because I'm resilient. I am strong, courageous, and resilient because I've got a big heart and I love. And if you can be vulnerable enough and tap into your heart enough, you will find how powerful it is. I get out of bed in the morning no matter how I feel because I love my little girl. I try and be the best father to my little girl in heaven while being the best daddy to my 2 boys here on earth. It's love. I try and get to the end of every single challenge I do, no matter how dangerous it is or how tough it is, because I love her. I fight every single day of my life because I love my kids. It's not about me being strong or because I'm scared a lot of the time, yeah? But my love is so strong that it just drowns it out and it fuels every superpower within my body.
You found your why. That's what it really is. When you find a why, as powerful as your why is, your reason, when it's that strong and it's that powerful, it's impenetrable.
But you've got to be brave enough to embark on it. I'm going to tell you something now, which is the fucking truth, yeah? What happened was I could sit here and tell you anything today, yeah? And realistically, if I was good enough, you'd believe me, yeah? And I could go down the street and do the exact same thing. When I lost my daughter, 2 things happened. The only thing I had was the reflection of the man that was looking in the mirror. And if he did what he said he was going to do that day, and if he didn't, had to go to bed with that feeling. Number 2, I couldn't lie to someone anymore because my daughter could always see me, which made me not only uber accountable, but I realized the power in being uber transparent. So when you think a human being couldn't feel any lower, having lost his child, having been on this, probably drinking spree, like of having no money for a house, no money for a car, no money for food, lost his career, lost his businesses, lost his fucking child, what I decided to do was tell my family everything that I was ashamed of about me to bring me down to the base of how a human being could feel. And then and only then I knew the exact steps I had to make from the foundation, from the core, from the bottom to be the person that I needed to be. I didn't have to just be accountable or realize strength. I had to be open and honest enough and brave enough to go back to where it all started and build from that point. And then there's no part that you can take away from me. No one can take a single thing away from me anymore.
No.
And that is my true strength. That's why I can sit into a room with athletes, with millionaires, with entrepreneurs, with movie stars, with everybody, and people understand my intensity because there isn't a single fucking chink in my armor or something that I haven't already exposed myself and strengthened it at the other side, put some armor around it and built an arsenal around it, do you know? And that's been another key to my strength. My openness, my honesty, and my vulnerability and being like, yeah, this is who I am. But then the only thing I had to do was start from the bottom, and that was the easiest way to the top.
Did you, if we go back in your life when you were a professional footballer, do you look back at that time and growing up and in the environment you grew up in, and did you consider yourself, to become a professional footballer is quite a big deal. Okay, we can't understate that. It's a big deal. Many kids would love that. They either don't have the talent or the work ethic to get there. But you made it. Do you feel a great sense of accomplishment because you did that, or do you look back at that time and consider yourself a failure?
I just don't fucking care about it.
You don't care?
Nah, I literally don't care about being the first one in the history of the world. I don't care about anything really. I don't care about crossing the line. Rahan will tell you, sitting in your room now, I get to the finish where I know I'm going to finish and I don't even want to cross the line and get the applause. I'm just like, because it was all about the journey. Like, I don't look at anything pre my daughter and feel like, wow, I did this. I don't look at anything post my daughter and feel proud. I just know that I've got a fucking job to do and it's part of the journey. The only thing I feel proud about is my kids, and the work that I can do to help other kids. That's the only thing that gives me a sense of oh, well, I did it. Because I literally cross the line, get depressed and think, what's next? And I'm obsessive. I've got this unhealthy obsession with doing things. Someone said to me oh, I've gone on a TV show. So I was like, oh, what do you want to be? What's your title? And I'm like, father. And they're like, yeah, no, but what do you do? And I'm like, what, a father? And they're like, what do you do? And I'm like, well, you know, you could say, you know, ex-professional footballer, you could say international DJ, you could say TV personality, you could say film producer, you could say presenter, you could say author, you could say doctor, you could say extreme ultra athlete, you could say entrepreneur, you could say director, you could say CEO, you could, you know, we can go on if you want, but I would class my title as proud father, like, because that's all I really care about. Do you get me? And that's the thing, and that's why, like, I am obsessive in, like, doing things to the point where, and I'm gonna get back to my point. Like yesterday, imagine, like, I was sitting with my manager, and he was, and this opportunity came with this group that were gonna go and do some really fun thing at a club, yeah. And we exchanged numbers, and then my manager messaged me in the morning saying, "Oh, how was last night? How was the club?" And I went, "I didn't go to the club." And he was like, "What did you do?" And I said, "I had a couple of beers and I watched a video of me throwing up 350 times so I could fit the right music to it to evoke something in me." And he went, "What?" And I said, "I watched a video of me throwing up 350 times while I figured out what music was going to fit with the video to evoke something in me to make me realise and understand what it's going to take for me to achieve what I need to achieve next year." When I did this Ultraman challenge, 79 days, I was already bored of the challenge before I'd started because I'd visualised myself crossing the line so many times. I got to the point of finishing and I said to my team, "I'm not going to finish because I just can't be bothered. I've already done it. I know I've done it. I've already done it so many times. You know, I've got a vision and a dream of, like, 2030, going to the Winter Olympics, yeah? Nobody around me laughs when I say it because they know I'm already focused. And from thinking that 3 days ago to speaking to Olympic Committee and knowing the people I need to get in touch with, building the team, to, like, I'm bored of the Olympics. I'm thinking about, could I do it at 44 at the 2034 games? Like, that's, and I just see it so matter of fact. I don't even get excited by it. I'm just like, I know that that's what I need to do. And I just think about it all of the fucking time. I'm weird like that, but I'm so intense. I'm really intense, yeah? But look at the resume and look at all the things. And my life only started 4 years ago. When people say I've got nothing, I'm saying zero. Even to the point I lost my child. Nothing. And I've achieved more in the last 4 years than I have done my entire life. It goes back to what you said. Purpose. A reason why.
I want to talk about how becoming a father again made you feel. Because after everything you went through with beautiful Azaylia, it must have been hard to think about becoming a parent again.
Yeah.
How was that for you? Tell me about that.
Well, you know, my boys are beautiful. They're my life, you know. But I'll be honest, I didn't think I could have children again. I wasn't planning on having children again. It happened, and thank God it did. You know, when I found out that my oldest son Elias was being born, I wasn't with the girl. It wasn't planned. But in that moment, I let her know that it's not something I ever imagined, something I don't think I'm ready for or capable of. But just know that I will always be there for him, for you, and it looks like it's going to be a chance for me to be able to do the thing that I was put on this earth for and be a dad again. And that's what I did. Same as my third child, little Atlas. I was actually in the middle of Ultraman when I got that news, and I just thought, oh my God. I was getting so much hate and abuse and everything online about, you know, how could I have another child and all of this. And then I felt like I could just overcome that hurdle, putting some good back into the world. Then I found out I was having another one. And I was filming my documentary series. I finished the challenge, you know, and I was filming my documentary series, and we had the due date. So I literally, because I'd done the challenge, I had to comprise the documentary series this end. And then when I found out I was on a baby, I had to bring it in this end. So we filmed the whole series in a record, filmed it and turned it around because I would produce as well in a record-breaking time, and he came a month early. He was born while I was in Brazil. Like I was absolutely gutted. I was in like a favela, you know, with a cartel.
Yeah.
Going to labour, and I thought, fuck. But going back to what you were saying, I didn't think I was ready to or capable of having kids again with the pain I had of losing my daughter. I didn't think I could love a child again because of the huge hole that was left. And it turned out that my 2 little boys, along with my little girl that saved me, you know, one of my things that I've always regretted is a lot of my life I've had to be tough. Because of my upbringing, because of things I had to face. I've always had to be tough because of the doors that were closed in my face, because of the racism, because of the area that I grew up in, because of the things I had to go through. I've always had to be tough. So no matter what situation I was in, had to be tough, had to fight, had to overcome adversity, had to smash through the doors that were shut in my face. No matter what it was, I had to deal with it. And then with Azaylia and now my 2 boys, I can just be me. I can just love, I can kiss, I can be silly. I don't have to be anybody else apart from the person I truly am. And that's just a loving family, man.
Everything you said to me today suggests to me that a lot of things aren't important, but being a father is the number one thing. Having Azaylia, losing Azaylia, it's like never wanting to put yourself in a position where you can suffer that much pain again. That would be a very normal thing for any human being to do, to go through that, all of that pain and suffering, and then to say, okay, I don't want to expose myself to that again. That would be a normal thing for people to do. Was there, when you found out that you were going to become a father again, was there fear? Was there shame? What kind of stuff did you feel? I know at the end, now you've got your boys and it's amazing, but at that time...
I felt really guilty.
Guilt, okay.
I felt guilty. And the maddest thing was, because both of the boys weren't planned, yeah, it was like I was doing the Ultraman challenge when my boy was 3 months old. So like for 3 months, I pretty much, from 3 months to 6 months old, I probably only seen him a handful of times when I was close enough in the middle of the UK to where I live, where people could bring him to me. So not only was it like, wow, a first 3 months into being a father again, getting over all of those emotions that I didn't know were still there, or recovering from all that guilt that I felt. But then I had that long period of time away where I was just in militant mode to get to the other side. And then when I come back off that challenge, imagine like the training that I had to do leading up. Imagine what I was going through for that 3 months. It was like fighting for my life every single day, running with stress fractures, paddling with torn rotator cuffs, having tears in every fucking muscle in my body, fighting for my life at sea, nearly dying, and then coming home like into like a normal living room with a normal family. Well done, Ashley. My little boy's there. It was like being a soldier at war. I was like institutionalized to fight. Do you know what I mean? And I got back, and that period was really hard because everything went from chaos to still. It's like sitting in this room now, it was fucking nuts. So in those moments, I felt guilty because I was loving someone else as much as I loved her. I was being as delicate and as soft and as gentle to someone else as I was her. I was telling someone else that I loved them more than anyone else in the world, just the same as I told her. And then I realized that just like me, they would have and still will love their big sister, and their big sister will absolutely love them. So we're just a bigger family. And then little Atlas came, and I feel like Atlas reassured that feeling. You know,
Yeah.
he solidified that this was okay. He made us the family that we are. He secured the borders.
Kind of completed it.
Yeah. And now I'm like, I'd have 3, 4, 5 more. Because I understand, like, I can't, what my kids, they realize, and this is kind of sad, yeah. Before having my 2 boys, I was prepared to literally live my life just in pain and just fighting and just being on this road of combat, pain, trauma, strength, rah, out of pure honor for what I believed in. But my 2 sons have gave me a chance to understand that I can now have happiness and joy and beauty as well. And I can still push to succeed. I can still push to build a legacy outside of the one that I'm already forging for my daughter and these children. I can build an incredible and beautiful life for the people that are here, as well as the beautiful and profound person that's looking over me from above. And that made things even more powerful because my heart opened again, my face smiled again, and my realization of the true and powerful impact I can have in this world came to fruition.
When you look at your future, do you ever have any goal or any ambition that is solely revolves around something that matters to you? You know, you take on these challenges and then you do this TV show where you're in some of the less comfortable places in the world. When any of these ideas come to you or are presented to you, do you ever look at stuff just for you? Or is it always
but I guess, you know, like, I think the growth in a person is realizing what it is. Like, you know, years ago I'd be like, it is all for this and it's all for this. But then it's like, you could ask some person what they like the most and they could give you an answer. You ask me what I love the most and what I enjoy the most, and it's my kids. So it's like, if it is for my kids, it is for me. Because one thing I understood is, yeah, honest to God, yeah, I am chaos. Like, if you see me when I was younger, like, you would understand the fact that I am a dangerous rival, like, and I have the ability to be incredibly destructive. I have the ability to be an absolute problem. And I don't want to take that out of me. I don't want to take that fire and that spark out of me. I need to guide it so it doesn't burn down the village, but it powers it.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Get it, yeah.
So what my kids do is every time, like, it's like a bowling ball going down the lane, every time it goes to go down the gutter, my kids, it's like a barrier, boof, boof, boof. They just keep me in line because this energy source that I've got, if it's not channeled into the right things, God, it's going to be chaos. It's going to be demolition in the wrong things. So they gave me that ability. So when I make decisions, right, I've understood that by you know, like, if you have that one North Star, like I said,
yeah,
it doesn't taper like what I can do. It's like it completely opens everything else up because then everything I do, I align to go to that North Star. So, okay, say this documentary series, when we're building it, yeah, why go to all these places? Why make it more emotive? Why tap into how these guys think? Yeah, that's what I was interested in. I didn't want to go in there and say, you're wrong. Look, world, this is what's happening. I wanted to understand the psychology behind it because I understood something in that moment that when my daughter was poorly, I would have fucking done anything I could to have saved her life. That was fucking kill someone. That was rob a bank. If I could have kept her alive, if that was take my own life, I'd have done it to keep her alive. So then I was kind of thinking, well, maybe, I'm not saying all these people that are doing bad things have a reason. You know what I mean? Some people are bad people. But I thought in my head, not every person that does a bad thing is a bad person. And I wonder why the reason is that they're doing it. And I met some people who were simply trying to feed their kids and they had no other way to do it. There was systemic issues, there was segregation, they were pushed out, they were kept down, and that was the only means of survival for themselves and their bloodline. So it was interesting to explore that. It was also great to be a person that for once in their lives was willing to listen. Not judge, not point the finger, just to listen to them. And I found out in that moment that most people in this world just want to be heard and just want to be loved.
I found over the years that we're far more similar than we are different. And a lot of the time, people keep looking at what makes us different to each other. But does everyone want a healthy family? Yes. Does everyone want to get their kids a good education? Yes. Does everyone want to have a good job and a career? Yes. Do they want to put a roof over their family's head? Do they want to have a nice holiday from time to time? Do they want their family to be happy?
So when you ask yourself the simple questions, you understand the synergy and everything. So when you ask me what I want to do and ask myself the simple questions, the synergy to my life is that simple. Like you said with people, fucking same animals, man.
Yeah. Tell me how you, I watched when you were playing basketball in the Philippines. And obviously I work with lots of Filipino people. So we watched that together in the office.
Oh, really?
And so there's probably 30 or 40 in my office in Dubai.
Incredible.
And we forget sometimes because we're under these shiny buildings in Dubai. And so we forget sometimes where people have come from to live in Dubai. And, you know, us from over here in the UK, it's very different from someone that's grown up in a village in the Philippines.
Yeah.
And so they've been exposed to the different things to us, and some far more hostile, and things that you and I might think are horrifying, for a lot of them have become normalized. And I always laugh about how Filipino people aren't that tall, but the national sport ends up being basketball.
They were good as well in that jail.
Yeah, when I saw that, that was great fun. But for me, as I was watching that, and I had Raphael Rowe on the podcast as well, where he's the guy that presents the world's toughest prisons.
Yeah.
And I asked him about the scariest prisons, as you would, but I asked him about the people and the pain that he felt for the suffering of some people. That there was one prison in Eastern Europe, in I think Lithuania or Latvia or somewhere, and the guys that he spent time with, they got all of their food from their family. And this guy's father had died, and it looked like mum was going to die too, which meant he was never going to get food, or the food that he would become used to. And something as simple as food, which we take for granted every day, for them is peace, and it's a little bit of home and a little bit of love. And when you consider, again, with Raphael, I'm like, where were you scared? I was scared here. Where were you not scared? There were places I weren't scared, Spence, because a lot of these people, like you say, there's bad people, but there's a lot of people that are good people that might have done a bad thing because they had to do a bad thing. And you hear the stories about, say, a woman that killed her husband because he'd been abusing her, for many years. Does that make her a bad person? Well, she's in jail for 20 years because she killed her husband. But why? Well, because he kept beating her up and raping her. And there's such a sense of injustice to that kind of stuff, isn't there?
Exactly.
Your hope with this type of journey is to connect with people. Is it personal for you to find a way to not only understand these people, but also are you searching for something in these people yourself?
Well, first of all, do you know what? A lot of the time, I didn't give a fuck about what we were trying to get for the documentary, I'll be honest. And it's going to sound really bad and really unprofessional. But we were working 18-hour days out there because I wouldn't keep to the script in terms of the time that we had with people, because if they wanted to talk to me and they wanted to get something off their chest, I was willing to listen. So first and foremost, I tried to deliver the same kind of aspect as what I would deliver on a day-to-day basis here in the UK, which is what you mentioned earlier. Can each and every one of these people that I speak to feel better after they spoke to me than before they started? That was my first protocol with everything that I did. Number two, I think it was important, you know, for the world to understand the injustice that is going on. So it can raise awareness for maybe those people in that place, but also to give perspective for everyone that's watching that is, you know, privileged like we are. Because I don't believe life is about perception. I think it's about perspective. So I wanted to give perspective. I also want to develop and grow as a human being, you know, and you can't truly know about the world unless you really experience it. Also, how can I be the greatest father to two young men when I don't understand the world that I'm raising them in? There were so many angles. I don't do anything for one reason. I call it 4-dimensional thinking. There's got to be multiple arms to what I'm doing and multiple benefits, not only for me, but for everyone else that it's going to touch and impact and affect. And it did give me a different insight to life. It did give me a different perspective. And that's what the world's about. You know, I always look at when I do these challenges, yeah, what I am, Spence, is fucking angry. I have rage.
When you're doing it, when you start it, what?
When I'm sitting here in front of you now, I have rage. I am angry. I am mad at what happened. That means that could overspill at any moment if I am not educated and aware and have a good enough perspective of the world. Yeah. So if I go and sit in a boat for 50 days at sea, when I come back and someone cuts in front of me in the queue, worry about it. When something happens on a day-to-day basis that can affect me, don't worry about it. When I have to speak to somebody that's going through anger or trauma or whatever, I can do it. I can handle situations. When I go into dangerous situations and I see dangerous things or I see injustice and I immerse myself in it and I understand it and I try and help out in those moments and I receive back what I always say, you always receive back. It makes me a greater student of the world and of life. And I understand a lot of the time what is important, what's not important, what has to affect me, what doesn't have to affect me, and how I can deal with every single human being that I encounter on this planet, which makes me an asset to it, not a burden to it. I don't want anybody to feel or be a victim of my rage. I want my rage to fuel and forge my success. And in the process, I'm going to learn all of the best ways how to be the best and most profound human being I can be, because I want to add as much value to this earth before I leave it than I take from it. So everything I do, including speaking to you today, has a reason and has a purpose and isn't for your subscribers' views or attention. It has way more meaning behind it than that. Every conversation I have is intentional. Even the one when someone passes me in the street, I don't do anything without intent. No single action. When I wake up in the morning and I brush my teeth with my left hand to improve my neural connections in my head, to build and strengthen them, to when I take 25 deep breaths, to when I tell myself I love myself 10 times and that I'm strong, I'm powerful and that I'm worthy, to every step that I take, engaging my feet on the ground, to feel grounded, to build strength in my ankle. Everything, I do everything with intention. Even when I drink alcohol, somebody will be like, why are you having some beers? And I'm like, I really need to tap in at this moment in time to feel something. And if I feel bad in the morning, I don't care, because I'm going to understand what I felt last night. I just do everything with purpose, intent.
There's a couple more questions I want to ask you before we finish. And and that intention that you've been using is exactly how it should be. I've had hate in my life. I've had hate online. I've had abuse online. People that have said the most disgusting things about me online. And if you go back to the time that the internet was starting to become a thing, maybe 15 years ago, the moment you saw anything negative about you online, it felt like a stab in your heart, how somebody would write something. And then my mum reminds me of two things. And she says to me, number one, she said, the internet is a wall. She goes, where have you seen a wall where people have engraved into a wall or etched into a wall, okay, so-and-so was here? And I'm like, public toilets? She said, right. So she goes, just imagine the internet, okay, is the door that people have scratched stuff on. She goes, what's written there? What matters? She said, anything written there matters. I'm like, no.
That's very good.
And I was like, okay, so she goes, so just remember that. She goes, and the second thing I want you to remember, she said, and this was obviously because she's passed away now, but she said to me, always remember.
God bless her soul.
The Queen gets up every day and she has a poo. And so she said, remember that. We're all equal. No one is more important than anybody else. Just because somebody has a fancy title or they have some stripes on their shoulder doesn't make them more important than you. Okay, yeah. Be kind and respectful to everyone, but understand nobody is more important than anybody else in this life. And it got me thinking differently, okay? And then the last thing she said to me, and this was probably the best advice I ever got, is say this over and over. And she sat with me, she said, say it over and over. And I'm like, what? She said, what you think of me is none of my business. She goes, say it. And so I said, what you think of me is that. She goes, again. She said, what do you think of me? She goes, you can't control what other people think about you. You have no power to do so. It's none of your business. Allow them to think whatever they want. You have no way of controlling it. You've had some hate, okay, and I don't like that, and it leans into something I talk about quite regularly. When Ricky Gervais talked about Brexit, and when he talked about Brexit, he said the average person shouldn't be allowed to have a vote for Brexit.
Agree.
He said on a bottle of bleach, it says there's a sticker on it, says do not drink. He said, take the sticker off the bottle of bleach for 2 years, and then the people that are left, they can have a vote. And I thought that was really quite poignant when I think about it, yeah? Because the amount of moronic idiots there are out there.
Yeah.
The people that believe it's okay to speak without thinking, or speak without context, or write without context, or don't even have the level of intelligence to understand context, feel it's okay. Makes me worry for a lot of people that receive hate and don't know how to handle it. How did you handle it?
So I was probably the reverse way to you. So I was at the start. I was, one of the first people on TV when social media came about. So, and I was a very controversial character then. And I used to get a lot of hate. And I absolutely didn't care because for me, the hate that I was getting was very trivial. And what I used to do was just thrive off it and fight back. It just didn't used to penetrate me at all. No matter what they're saying about how I looked or whatever, I used to find it funny. When that changed was, when I lost my daughter and I don't know, I've got no idea why this was the case, but it was like raising millions for charity made people think that made me a millionaire. If you understand, like...
Made you rich.
What I mean is, it was just like, you're raising all this money for charity and then people start, like, getting something psychotic in their head that, like, you've got a Nike tracksuit on. That's the foundation's money. You've got this. That's the foundation's money. But that sounds like really trivial as I'm saying it, yeah. But then when it flows into, your fucking daughter's dead now, get over it. Or you wish your daughter died so you could make something off of it. When it starts becoming like that, and then when it starts to like be a lot, and then there's not like one or two comments on your post, but there's like 100. And when your foundation is doing really great things, and then it becomes on that, and then if you're working for a business or brand, and it becomes on that, and people don't understand the impact that it's having. Now, just to give you an idea, when I did the Ultraman, I had my rib sponsor pull out. I had my main challenge sponsor pull out. And the only reason I could do a challenge that big was because of these sponsors that were like, yeah, we really want to support you, do something that's never ever been done. So do you know what happened to me when I crossed the line? I had a bill for £100,000, which I paid back myself. So when everyone's telling me that I'm taking, not only did I give 9 months of my life, 6 hours a day, pretty much a full-time job to train for it, I committed 3 months of a challenge risking my life, and then it ended up costing me £100,000 to do. So when I walked over the finish line and wanted to feel like a hero, I was fucking hurting as well. And then just to give people an idea, yeah, you could post your annual report for your foundation. One thing about our foundation is, when you can see it, it's probably the most streamlined foundation that there fucking is. Yeah. Post an annual report. People will say the same thing. Where's the money? Pay for an external audit from an external source, publish it, everyone can see. Where's the money? Where's the money? There you go. See it? Where's the money? Where's the money? They're not doing these things because they're interested in knowing where the money is. They're not doing these things because they actually believe what's going on. They're doing these things because they've got hate, they've got bitterness, and they've got resentment, and they need somewhere to push it. If I post my car, fucking hate it. If I post my sons, I get hate. Like, they've sort of targeted my sons as well as my daughter. They target my family. They target the companies that I work for. They target the charity commission. They target the fucking police. They target everything, to the point where they found my address one day, posted my address online for everyone to see, and when I went away to film a show, I come back and my house had been robbed and my car. And what have I done? All I've done since losing my daughter is try to motivate, inspire, and raise life-changing and life-saving amounts of money for our children of the UK that get given an illness and taken from us too soon. That's all I've done. And now I've built and developed a quite good life for myself and my family. Is there anything wrong with that? Absolutely not. None. So I started to understand there's another thing. I think after speaking to me that you would say I'm a pretty honourable man. Like, sometimes it's not always what you can see in front of your eyes, but it's what you feel in your heart, and you're willing to fight and die for that. So I also started to look at it like this. They're only fueling me, because what they're doing is making my journey more virtuous. And cream always rises to the top, and the truth would always be told in the end, or people will realise, yeah? So if I can do all I'm doing with all of this hate, with all of this negativity, with all of this nastiness and everyone trying to hold me down, everyone making up things, if I can do this with having to lose £100,000 and all my time to make this for these kids, all it does in the end is gives me that belief and confidence and assurance that I am doing it for the right reasons, and I am exactly who the fuck I say I am, and I do exactly what the fuck I say I'm going to do, no matter who has anything to say or what anyone tries to do. And in the end, when you look at it, and I think most people have done that now, they've looked and they've gone, you know what? Yeah. Fair enough. Like, a lot of people, and what I find is, like, for older people, when they approach me, they're like, I think you said at the start, how you've held yourself through this has been incredible. And I'm not going to get into it here, but there's been some lies that have been told as well, and some things that are not so true, which is another reason why I've got hate, which I don't need to say anything back on because it's not important. But I believe in the virtue of my journey. I believe in the stoicism of my journey. I believe in the honour of my journey. And so all of these bad things just equate to good things to me. If you say something good to me, cool, doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. If you say something bad to me, cool, doesn't matter. Because I know where I'm going. And sometimes you say things bad to me, I think, oh, fucking great, give me more. Because I just internalise that fire and let it burn. And I just think you're going to live a really, really fucking sad life, because this train of positivity, of success, of legacy, of greatness just isn't going to stop. So the longer that you're watching it, disliking it, the unhappier you're going to be for a very, very long fucking time. So now I'm like impregnable.
I can feel it. I can feel it all the way through.
And also, sometimes, to make it a bit funnier, you look at the people that fucking hate you and you're like, oh my God. there is not a single person that fucking writes a shitty comment on my page that I would like to be like, or that I aspire to be like, or is doing anything better than me in any facet of life. So I'm kind of like, it's fucking hilarious. It's literally fucking hilarious. I just think, oh wow. Oh wow. Cool. It's kind of actually more of a compliment, because I just think, yeah, I didn't want a compliment off you anyway. Didn't need you to think I was good anyway. Just get the fuck away from me.
I think that most people acknowledge now that most people that have got time to write on other people's social media negative comments haven't got enough going on in their lives that's positive anyway. So that's why they do what they do, because anyone that's out there that's doing better than anybody else doesn't look back. They only want to try and help if they can. And when I think about the people, all you got to do is, no disrespect to football fans, but all you got to do is go into a football stadium and say 50,000 people in here. How many of the people in this stadium would say things just for the sake of it in the moment about somebody? And they do. That takes place, doesn't it?
I was gonna say that I can't say that about any Coventry City fans. You were an absolute blessing to me. Thank you very much. Sky Blue Army.
Ashley, we could sit and talk for ages, and I really appreciate you taking the time to tell me such a powerful story today. And I really wanted to hear this from you. And I know my audience are going to fall head over heels in love with you because of the great human being that you are, because you genuinely are, whatever anybody wants to say, wants to think, you're genuinely an inspirational person.
Thank you.
And you make me, after today's session, make me want to be a better human being. And the fact that you can have that impact on me means you're having that impact on so many other people. So thank you for being you. Please don't you dare ever change, because you're valuable.
And thank you for having me. And I know that, I just wanted to say, I know there's a lot of people who are religious who are following this podcast, and I'm a God-fearing man myself. So if you do have any love, you don't need to show it for me, or if you have any prayers, you don't need to give them to me. Just give them to my daughter in heaven, and that'd be much appreciated. And God bless you all. God bless you.
Thank you.
This episode is proudly sponsored by Allsop and Allsop Mortgage Brokers, the leaders in Dubai real estate. Whether you're a first-time buyer, a seasoned investor, or looking to refinance, Allsop and Allsop's dedicated mortgage team will expertly guide you every step of the way, ensuring a seamless and stress-free journey. Now, with over 16 years of experience, they offer exclusive access to the UAE's best rates, personalized advice, and tailored financing solutions that perfectly suit your needs, leaving you free to focus on finding your dream home. And that's what we want. Experience the difference with Allsop and Allsop, your trusted partner in securing the perfect mortgage solution.